It's been 4 days since the argument. Your phone buzzes, and it's them, and it's a link to a video of a dog failing to catch a ball. No epaliti. No can we talk. A dog and a ball and nothing else at all. You watch it. It's genuinely stupid. You laugh out loud in an empty kitchen. You type haha, and then after a second you add, this is you, and you send it. And something in your chest quietly lets go. Neither of you will ever mention the fight again. And somehow, that was the fight ending. So here's what I want to sit with tonight. Not whether you should have talked it through properly. Maybe you should have. The stranger question is this. Why did the dog video work? Why did the thing that fixed it look nothing at all like fixing it? Because if you go back through your life looking for the moments a bond actually mended, you almost never find an apology at the center of them. You find something small and slightly off topic arriving at the right moment. That isn't a failure of repair. That's what repair actually is. To see why, you have to look at what actually broke. And it isn't the thing you think it is. During the argument itself, you were still connected. Loudly, badly, unpleasantly connected. But you were both still there. The break came afterwards, in the quiet, on the third morning, when you both went to work and neither of you sent anything. That's the part that actually frightens you. Not the shouting, the absence of it. There's a small experiment that shows this better than anything else I know. A researcher sits a baby in a chair, facing their mother. For a while it's completely ordinary. The baby points, she looks. The baby squeals, she squeals back. A conversation with no words in it. Then she's asked to do one thing. Stop. Keep her face completely still. Don't leave, don't look away, just go blank. The baby notices in seconds. And what they do next isn't crying. Not yet. They try harder. They point. They squeal louder. They clap. They run through every single trick they have. And when nothing comes back, they fall apart. 2 minutes from delighted to inconsolable. Nothing was taken away except the response. Then she's told to come back. Just come back. She doesn't have to explain herself, or fix it, or say anything at all. The baby resettles almost immediately. Not because anything got resolved, because the face came back. That's the whole thing, and it's still sitting in you at 30, at 40, at 60. The wound was never the argument. It was the still face afterwards. And the mend was never the explanation. It was the face coming back. The dog video was a face coming back. Which brings us to something that sounds wrong the first time you hear it. The same researcher went back and counted. He watched ordinary mothers and babies. The good ones. The ones that were working. You want to know how often they were actually in sync, reading each other right, genuinely meeting each other. Roughly a third of the time. The rest was mismatch. Missed cues, wrong guesses, whole moments of being out of step with each other. 2/3 of a healthy bond is getting it wrong. That's the good version. That's what secure looks like from the inside. So the difference between a bond that works and one that doesn't was never the number of ruptures. There were always going to be ruptures. It's what happens in the seconds afterwards, whether somebody moves back toward the other one. And here's what's strange about those moves. They're tiny, almost embarrassingly tiny next to the size of the break. A hand landing on a shoulder in a doorway. A mug of tea set down that you never asked for. Someone using your old nickname again. None of it addresses anything. None of it is proportionate. A dog video against 4 days of silence is not a fair trade. But repair was never payment. You aren't settling a debt. You're checking whether the line is still open. And a tiny signal tests that exactly as well as an enormous one. That's why the small thing works and the big speech so often doesn't. The speech is about the rupture. The small thing is just proof that somebody is still on the other end. Now the part that turns the whole thing around. Because you'd assume the goal is fewer breaks, cleaner friendships, less mess. But watch what happens the second time. A fight with someone you've already mended things with once. It's still awful. But underneath the awful there's a floor. A quiet certainty that this ends. That you come back. That certainty wasn't there before you broke. It couldn't have been. You can't know a bridge holds until you've stood on it. This is what nobody tells you about the friendships that feel unbreakable. They don't feel that way because nothing ever went wrong. They feel that way because things went wrong. Repeatedly. And somebody kept coming back. Every rupture in return is a small deposit into one single belief. This survives me. And that belief is the whole thing. It's what lets you be honest, be difficult, be tired. Be yourself in front of somebody. So the friendships where nothing has ever broken are not the safest ones. They're the untested ones. Everyone's still being careful. Still offering the easy version of themselves. Still not sure what would happen if they stopped. Which means a rupture isn't damage to the bond. It's the only way the bond ever finds out what it's made of. So the fight you're still quietly ashamed of might have been the most useful thing that's ever happened between you. Not the fight itself. What the two of you did on the fourth morning. The dog video wasn't the thing that survived the fight. It was the thing that proved you both would. So why do so many bonds stay broken when a mend is this small? Here's the sad, ordinary answer. Because we're waiting for the wrong thing to arrive. In your head, repair has a shape. They come to you. They name what they did. They say it properly, in the right order, with the right weight. And until something arrives at that weight, you don't count it as having arrived at all. Meanwhile, they've sent you a photograph of a bird. Twice. And you looked at it and thought, that's it? That's what I get? And you left it sitting there. They were coming back. It just didn't look like coming back, so you didn't let it be that. This is where an enormous number of friendships quietly end. Not in a rupture, in an unrecognized repair. Somebody reached in the only language they had, and the other person was holding out for a translation that was never going to come. Nobody was wrong here. One person was waiting for a ceremony. The other was already standing in the room. So here's the turn, and it's the reason I wanted to talk about any of this. Think about the bond you've been counting as broken. The one that's been sitting there for months in a drawer somewhere behind your ribs. Ask a different question about it. Not whether they've apologized, whether anybody moved. Sometimes the answer is genuinely no. Two still faces on either side of a wall, each one waiting to be found by the other. But often, more often than is comfortable, somebody moved and you didn't recognize it as moving. You can go back and look. The birthday message that came a month later than it should have. The reply to your story at 2 in the morning. The thing that made no sense, sent by somebody you were supposedly not speaking to. That wasn't nothing. That was a face coming back, carried in the only thing they could find to carry it in. You already know whose face it was. You knew before I finished saying it. And you still know exactly which stupid link you'd send back.